Joining us from Westminster, the political blogger Paul Staines, better known as Guido, and Kevin Barron, who's the Labour MP for Rother Valley. Kevin Barron, are you embarrassed?
Well, I think this is it's just another chapter in what we've seen for the past 8 months, and quite clearly there's large amounts of this is indefensible, and I don't come on here tonight to defend it.
They're laughing stock, aren't they, Paul Staines?
Well, they are, and I'm not surprised that Kevin can't defend it. I had a quick look at his expenses in March this year. He tried to overclaim by £8,000 over his allowance, and they gave him £7,000. Well, you tried to claim $8,500, they gave you $7,500. You maxed out your allowance, and you went a bit further. Gordon Brown, he's paying back this £500 for his second home painting. Where's his first home? He lives in Downing Street, Grace and Favour, free. He rents out his London flat for a profit. Checkers we pay for. He doesn't have to pay to live anywhere. I think a lot of people wonder, if he's claiming for a second home, where's his first home?
Well, hang on, let's Kevin just reply.
Could I just say, Paul, what I did in March of this year, I didn't doctor any bills that I'd paid for previously. I submitted bills that took me up to the limit of what I could get for the year. The idea that I tried to overclaim it...
Kevin, I've got it in front of me.
The idea that I tried to overclaim is wholly wrong. And interpreting what I and many other people do, if I'd have doctored a bill and put it in, you'd have said that that had have been wrong as well. I submitted bills that I'd paid for, and I got the requisite amount back that was in that account for the year. So let's go down the road that I tried to overclaim. I did not try to overclaim.
I'd taken up the fees office, so you. They paid you less than you asked for.
They've done that for the past 4 years, and if you'd have looked at my claims for the past 4 years, you'd have seen it. I think it's happened in every year for the past 4 years. I tried to deceive nobody.
Well, I think a lot of people at home would think, why does he try to overclaim every year?
I did not try to overclaim, Paul. I submitted proper bills that I could claim against. I've claimed for fixed costs for all my additional living down here in London. That's what I've done, and I have never tried to overclaim. And I'll tell you something, that's wholly wrong, and it's typical of people like you that you would say things like that.
I'm reading it from your claim. I mean, you put this claim in.
I put in the bills that I'd paid for, and they weren't all met because the allowance, the annual allowance, is capped. You don't claim money for everything you pay for. It's capped, and it was capped as it had been capped for the last 4 years.
OK, well, let's just develop that point, Kevin Barron, if we may.
Yes.
You're saying that the old system, as it was, with the second home allowance and everything else, was not sufficient to meet all the outlay, all the expenditure you incur by having the second home?
Yes.
I mean, you're on £64,000. The average wage in this country is nearer £20,000. You're on 3 times as much money as a lot of people bring up their families on. I mean, it just strikes people as greedy.
Well, I'm not greedy at all. I've claimed within the rules. I've never been asked to pay a penny back. And quite frankly, you know, to come on a programme like this and say that I've been overclaiming when I haven't, that the vast majority of MPs claim in much the same way. If I'd have submitted a bill to the last penny, they'd have said that would have been a cynical attempt to get money as well. And quite frankly, let's come here and discuss what this second home allowance is about. There's been major changes this year because of the exposure by the media, and I'm very pleased about that. And some of the things that people have been claiming for, and indeed what's being exposed today, has been stopped by ourselves in Parliament. It's not enough, I accept that. An independent body needs to do more, I accept that as well. But we are making progress in these things that have been unacceptable.
Well, Kevin, you're on the Standards and Privileges Committee, which is the disciplinary committee. One of your colleagues on the committee, Paddy Tipping, charged £50 for walking his dog. You're the disciplinary committee. If you're going to start doing fiddles like that, how can anyone have any confidence in the system?
Listen, that would be a matter for him and the authorities. There's a number of people on that committee. We had a resignation 2 weeks ago, and somebody referred themselves from the committee to the authorities for investigation to be taken.
Well,
that will take place.
Half the committee's been thrown off for expense fiddles.
Well, I don't think that they have. But anyway, you know, that's what you were saying. That's not my understanding of it. But let me say this. I'm not coming here to talk about individual cases. Indeed, if complaints do come in and they are investigated, I will sit on that committee as an adjudicator if people have done wrong. I think that things are improving in Parliament now. Did they need to improve? Yes, they bloody well did. You can see that by the events of this year. But it's wrong to turn around and say that we aren't moving. We are moving now. What is going to move is this independent authority that's going to implement Kelly and make sure that a lot of these excesses don't happen ever again.
Why did it have to come about this way? without, if it wasn't for being exposed in the media, and by the way, all the MPs and your committee fought that Freedom of Information Act tooth and nail. Well, why did it have to come? Why did we have to drag you?
Well, the Standards and Privilege Committee didn't. It was a Speaker's Committee that fought it tooth and nail. It was clearly wrong, and the evidence of what's happened since, many people will say, serves you right as well. So let's get it put it in perspective here. I think that the events of this year is going to clean up the system, and so it should be as well. I've sat frustrated since 2005, when cases have come in front of us after the Commissioner has been investigated, and they've turned around and they've said that, this has not been outside of the rules, and therefore action couldn't be taken.
Kevin,
and it's quite clear there's been a need for rules to change.
Gentlemen, let me just come in there for a second. Let's just broaden it out from the personal, if we may. Just let me ask one general point here. Do you think this exercise, I think you've already said, Kevin, that it was a necessary exercise to go through, and maybe it should have been brought about by different means. But do you not think the whole thing has brought politics and politicians into such disrepute? We've reached a new low point. I mean, tonight there's inquiries going on about why the Prime Minister was phoning somebody in Canterbury for an hour and 20 minutes. We now know that. Should we know that?
Well, I've no idea what that's about at all. But let me tell you this.
Well, the phone bill.
The events of this year, the events of what happened, the leak to the Telegraph company has done politics no good. I accept that. I mean, standing in politics, politicians has never been good. Ever since public opinion was sought from the 1930s, it's never been that good. It is far worse now. I accept that entirely. The events of this year is going to clean it up. I'm afraid that, that is the case. I know the court of public opinion out there is not good for members of Parliament. I accept that. But not all of them have done what's being exposed today or being exposed this year. And you have to accept that.
Final point to Paul Staines then. Here's your site, Paul. You've highlighted the fact that Ed Ball submitted a bill to go to a football game. If that's within the rules, why not submit a bill to go to a football game?
Well, the rules say that it has to be wholly and necessarily for your parliamentary duties. I don't think he'd be hindered in Parliament if he hadn't gone to a football game. And I don't think we need to be paying for their Sky Sports subscriptions as much as we all enjoy Sky Sports.
Paul Staines, Kevin Barron, we'll leave it there for tonight. Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed. And go to our